Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. Blake Cousins along with my brother Brent and Paula Asteria and Dr. J Radio Live. We're going over incredible videos just in.
Yeah, you saw that shit now. I tried to tell you.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That fucking thing going through the atmosphere.
That might be the Devil's Comet. They got something called the Devil's Comet.
Something falling out of the sky?
Look that way. It's fuck out here. You see that?
All kinds of weird shit going on, bro.
Multiple eyewitnesses capture something in the sky, different objects. What the heck is going on here?
That's what I'm talking about. That fucking thing going through the atmosphere.
That might be the Devil's Comet. They got something called the Devil's Comet.
Look that way. It's fuck out here.
So the solar eclipse, we've had millions and millions of people looking up during the moment as it traversed across America. Everybody had their eyes, and we anticipated a plethora of UFO activity just because people were peeled up to the solar eclipse. And there we go. Some people are even calling this the Devil's Comet. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Space debris, maybe a crashing UFO, definitely unidentified and legit. This was seen by hundreds of people from this perspective of this event, the solar eclipse. Yeah, it was pretty crazy the whole couple days. It just happened, and we just been receiving videos, and we kind of wanted to make a good compilation tonight. And tonight's we're pretty much sharing the best footage that's pretty much around right now. This is a good taste to UFOs that we're seeing next to a total eclipse. What are we looking at? It looks like some sort of fire in the sky dropping. Dr. J.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned the solar eclipse. I've been saying this for months that we're going to see a bunch. Why? Because in 1991, when there was that solar eclipse in Mexico, more people saw a UFO at that single time than in the history of ufology. So I expected this. Now, at first, I thought this is possibly a meteor, but there's no smoke trail, and it's going far too slow. What if it's a craft falling out of the sky?
You know, that's what I'm kind of getting my brain wrapped around. Look at this. It's angles at different curvatures as it progresses down. And we have the side-by-side comparison. It's definitely getting a good close-up of whatever is going on. I think the beam of the solar eclipse itself highlighted something that maybe you wouldn't have seen unless this eclipse was happening at this moment. I'm looking at this. It kind of seems and looks familiar to be parajumpers with maybe flames coming off their back boots, but we're not seeing the separation. I wish we could see the whole video just to dismiss that theory, but then again, we're looking at something these people don't know what it is, and that's why it's really exciting. Third Phase Moon's coming up with the best videos tonight. Thanks for the comments, everybody. It looks good. It's crazy. The UFO videos during the eclipse, and Brent found a lot of them submitted to us right here at Third Phase Moon, and we're going to roll it tonight. So let's log up the next video coming in during this event. Something went down, and massive amounts of people witnessed something. So it's quite incredible as we look at this video, and we're going to get a really close up on this. A disc-shaped object during the eclipse appears right there before the camera. And in my opinion, again, we're not looking at anything manipulated. We're looking at something legitimate. The question is this reverse engineered alien technology? I don't see any means of propulsion. There's something going on here. And again, the eclipse was maybe a moment that was a reason why some of these videos are captured. Dr. J.
You know, this reminds me again of the sport model that Bob Lazar talked about. Very seamless, very perfect, typical flying saucer. Clearly it's dark because of the shade from the solar eclipse going on. And it looks like the waveguide or the gravity generators on the bottom. I think this is a very fantastic footage and sighting. And the fact that it was witnessed by thousands of people is what's amazing about it.
What I like about it is you can see the person that was actually shooting this, and then he got into focus, and then right at that moment, you see this thing just kind of dart from right to left as it moves along in the sky. It's really cool capture. We're getting a good close-up of this. Is this moving in some sort of abnormal fashion? What is this? Could it be just a balloon? It doesn't look like one. It looks like it's actually traversing.
It is definitely traversing, and if it was a balloon, you would expect it to change shape. This does not change shape at all, even when it's slowed down and zoomed in. And definitely, it seems to be traveling at an upwards angle, too.
No, as I look at this, once again, it's definitely high up there in altitude. And to guess what length of this craft is, I would have to guess that it's at least about 20 to maybe even 40 feet in length. But again, it's interesting that it comes during the solar eclipse, like it wanted to be seen. People are looking up. What's your thoughts on that, about that, Dr. J?
I think that's exactly what happened. I think because of the solar eclipse, these things came out for people to see them, especially since people are becoming more aware of the fact that we're being visited by something, or that we're testing unknown technology. But I don't think we're testing technology during the solar eclipse. I think these are probably visitors.
You know, people are having their eyes on the skies, and again, millions of people are looking up across America. And what we're revealing tonight is a phenomenon. Not only the full solar eclipse, we have something going on in the skies during that same time in history. So it's interesting that people are submitting their videos, and we have a plethora of them for you. And Brent's rolling up the next one. Brent, what was your thoughts before we put it to the world right now when he saw this for the first time, this video we're about to share? Yeah, it almost looks like something otherworldly, something mystical, almost you could say godlike. I really like this as we're about to roll it. Check it out.
UFO.
Illuminated disc-shaped object once again appears before the public, and we're looking at it right now. We see a series of lights from the top to the bottom, something in the middle, orbs. And in my opinion, this isn't a reflection. This isn't some kind of optical lens flare or CGI. This is something that was in the sky. And again, I think the solar flare itself and this solar eclipse showed something that maybe we weren't meant to see. Yeah, this is incredible. Again, we're looking at a phenomenon that's just happening in this region of our planet. And it's just like, again, like you said, Blake, millions of people were out there looking, and they captured something amazing. Again, what is this? Something natural? Something, some people might even say HARP or Project Bluebeam. Dr. J.
This one is crazy. It's again amongst the 13 states that had the total eclipse, the total solar eclipse. And this one at first glance, because all those orange balls, they're not very uniform. I thought, well, they seem to be different craft or different drones or maybe some sort of, optical illusion. But then when you look closer at it, you see the outline of the craft. And all of these sort of spheres seem to be contained within this clear outline.
Yeah, good call. As I'm looking at this a little closer, I'm going to be adding a little bit of brightness contrast. You can see that there is some structure that's supporting the lights around it. Again, is this a massive kind of cloaked UFO in the sky? Some disc that Bob Lazar spoke about? Again, it's just interesting with the solar eclipse, and people are just looking up. It just goes to show you, when people are peeled to the skies, the phenomenon's happening every day, every single second, 24/7. So I'm really happy that this collage of UFOs during a certain event that didn't last long, and you can see the activity. It's mind-boggling. Dr. J?
4 minutes and 28 seconds was the entire time of the totality of the time that the sun was blocked out by the moon. And yes, for all this to be seen in all those different states, and in Mexico too. I think that's what's so fascinating about this. Again, I think also the fact that it's more brightly lit. If the sun was out, I don't think we'd see it as clearly. I think only because it's starting to get dark are we seeing those orange orbs illuminating this craft.
Yo.
Again, more videos as it's coming in real time. It's so plentiful of the activity, and we're looking at this in slow motion, enhanced. We see some kind of cigar-shaped craft just dart across the cloud line at a high altitude. What the heck are we looking at here? Could this be the best for last? Right now, we're looking at something just fantastic. It's amazing. We're seeing it traverse through the sky as it passes through the clouds right there. You can see the sun right behind it, and you can see it kind of reflect and dodge the shadows off the clouds. That makes it super legitimate, in my opinion. These guys were stunned when they saw it. What do you make of this, John?
This is actually really great. Obviously, we're seeing, like you said, a cigar-shaped craft, so that's very unique in and of itself. Also, look closely at it. It doesn't look very, solid. It almost looks like it's half in this dimension, half in the other, almost partly transparent. And that's what makes it, to me, one of the better of the sightings that we're seeing tonight, because it's very unique and different.
You know, when you bring up the Tic Tac, everybody says that it's this white-shaped Tic Tac pill-shaped craft, and we're looking at this, and it has the same characteristics of a Tic Tac, but then it has this cloaking feature and this shadow that it just seems that it's cloaking up there in the skies. And again, this isn't a bug or a kite. Some people might say it's some kind of fast drone. It might be, but a drone that I've never seen before. Yeah, hypersonic drones, some new technology that doesn't create a sonic boom because we don't hear that. This is all, again, captured during the eclipse over America. That doesn't happen. I think the next one's going to be some time from now, 70 years. So maybe we could see this phenomenon again. But again, we're looking at something in the sky that just can't be explained. A massive amount of people saw this dark, cylindrical, cigar-shaped craft. Like you said, John, looks like a shadow craft. It doesn't look like it's solid. If you're going to think about technology, what kind of technology could create something like this?
What if it is gravity technology, and the reason that it's not looking very clear is because it's got a distortion. It's in a field of gravitational field that's affecting the time-space continuum, and light is sort of not being seen as visible. That's why it's looking like it's half in this dimension, half out, like a ghost ship almost.
You know, it's crazy. Again, the UFO videos, we just wanted to put this episode out tonight relating around the solar eclipse event. And there's so many other videos that wasn't correlating with this event, but we wanted to exclusively just do this episode for this event that happened over America. But we've got even more videos coming tomorrow that is coming in from around the world. Things are going down, and it's getting more and more exciting. That's what's amazing me right now. I've seen activity. The UFO activity seems that it accelerates and then dwindles at points, but 2024 seems that there's something, it's just getting started, and there's so much information, and people are looking up, and the technology is right there. People have the cameras set, and it's happening right now. New video coming up. Check it out. Just out of Puna, Hawaii. So basically, a fleet of UFOs right here on the big island of Hawaii. People were looking up in the night sky, and they captured it on film. A lot of people are speculating that this is Starlink, and I did some research. We looked up any kind of Starlink activity during the hours that this was captured last night, and none of that was in the area. And obviously, it doesn't look like Starlink to me. What we're looking at is a cluster of UFOs at high altitude, and Puna is a very kind of rural area of the big island. There's not much activity out there, and I don't see any kind of amateur drone people out there launching a bunch of stuff up there. What's going on is something unexplained at this moment. Yeah, good call on that, Blake. We know Puna very well. Again, we've lived on this island quite some time. This place isn't known for drone shows or anything like that. What these guys are capturing is something unknown. We're looking at, again, a fleet of UFOs. Kind of, is it behind the clouds or in front of the clouds? It's really hard to tell, but they're traversing up there. The big question is, what is it?
Yeah, what's really fascinating about this to me is that, during the UFO congressional hearings, or I'm sorry, the UAP congressional hearings, they talked a lot about most of the sightings happening in Hawaii, or a majority of them. So there's something about that, whether it's the volcanic activity that has this piezoelectric energy, maybe it attracts this sort of phenomenon. Who knows? But definitely very interesting.
Volcano activity or something that could be ours, some kind of UFO asset. Dr. J?
Well, first, let me piggyback off the Hawaii thing. I think Hawaii's always been a huge hot spot and will continue to be so. Not only because of the volcanic activity that's constantly erupting, but you're surrounded by oceans. You got USOs coming in and out of the water all the time, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a base there. Now, with regards to this, it's not unusual to see one large craft with 100 small lights on it. Ask anyone who lived in Hudson Valley, New York, in 84, who saw that. But this is not one craft. This is like 75 to 100 lights, like a swarm.
Yeah, it's interesting. People think this could be Starlink, but we've seen what Starlink looks like. They don't go in these kind of separations and sporadic. This seems like a cluster, not conventional, nothing calculated, but they seem like they're organized, and we just don't know what it is. Could they be some sort of, I don't know, space force up there, or something extraterrestrial? Again, maybe even something, again, from the volcanoes. This is exciting footage. It just came in this morning. It happened probably about 12 hours ago.
Yeah, what's really crazy about this to me is that, it could very well be maybe the U.S. military or something where they're what better place to practice, going out in fleets and practicing, new maneuvers than outside of Hawaii in the middle of the ocean, so maybe there's something from our government that they're working on out there, or maybe it's ET in nature and it's a good place for them to come down, who knows.
Yeah, I'm counting about 50 individual lights here. And what is interesting also looking at this is that I see that these lights are in front of the clouds. I'd estimate that the altitude of these clouds is maybe about 10, 15,000 feet. So I'd have to say that these lights are, it looks like they're traversing underneath the clouds as I'm looking at this. I added some brightness contrast. But again, it's pretty high up there. Could it just be a swarm of drones? Again, it just doesn't seem this to be plausible, especially given the factor that Puna, again, is just kind of out in the middle of nowhere here on the Big Island. It doesn't have any reputation for a lot of drone activity, especially a massive cluster like this. Yeah, I would suggest if you ever come to Hawaii, check out the Puna area. It's a fascinating, really cool community, great people. But again, they would announce a show. There would be something like saying, hey guys, we're doing some sort of special event. And again, it's pretty light traffic on drones out there. We don't know what we're looking at. Again, this is pretty exciting. This has been breaking the rounds again. New UFO video that just came in out of Philadelphia. Are we looking at a USO here, Blake? Yeah, we're excited to share it with you, and it's interesting. It seems that what we're about to share with you is still has no explanation. It's been out for the past 12 hours. I'm wanting to hopefully talk to the eyewitness who shot it, but it seems to traverse from the air into the water and then back out again. Here, take a look at this. We'll show you the raw video right now. Original to the left, a little closer look to the right.
You see it? What is that? Come down to the water. Yeah. In the water. It's coming out of the water. Yo, this thing is creepy, man. What the hell? Stay over there. Don't come to me. Oh shit. Taking a dip. Seeing right now. This is crazy. It went in. Another plane. Now it's going up. That dude's in his window watching it too. It's not that big, whatever it is. I don't think. It might be.
So we're watching this. I'm going to get a close-up of what we're looking at. The snake blue UFO traversing in out of this lake, a pond, Philadelphia. Again, we want to lock down the exact location, but people are speculating that this is some kind of biological UFO or maybe something that is local legend. Brent, your thoughts here?
Yeah, it's really nice. There's no CGI. Everything we're looking at is real. The guy's fascinated. He doesn't know what he's looking at. I'm still wondering, how could this be done? Could it be, Blake even brought this up when I showed it to him earlier, could this be maybe a drone holding up some sort of LED lights on a fishing line, trying to maybe hide it out of camera, the drone, and then drop this this object into the water and lift it out? But I've never seen anything like this.
You know, the first thing my mind falls when I see this is the way that it moves. It's almost like an inchworm. It reminds me of an inchworm, the way it kind of comes up at the end. It's really interesting, and also that's bioluminescent in nature. You know, I don't know, just following up on what you said, Brent, like it's interesting to me that the end of it will kind of come up almost like a creature. So I don't know how that could be faked, but what are your thoughts?
You know, again, it's hard to tell if you weren't there, but again, we're hearing the eyewitnesses, and I don't hear any kind of drone in the audio here. I turned it up pretty loud to see if I could hear any buzzing from any prop propeller blades, but I didn't hear it. Dr. J, your first impressions on this video?
One of the craziest videos I've ever seen, and it definitely looked real. Look at the reflection in the water. I mean, look at the clear background behind it. I first obviously jumped in my mind was, is it like space snakes? Astronaut Story Musgrave talked about seeing them. People in the ISS talked about seeing them. But I've never heard of something that has like multiple individual lights. But clearly they're connected with this blue beam or, purple-ish beam, because they're, one light would be moving to the left, the other will be moving to the right, but so would the snake-like sort of stick. And the fact that it goes and touches the water and goes back up, I thought that was really crazy. I also started to think, is this like a spirit, like you mentioned, like some crazy folklore? I don't know. I think it might be biological.
You know, it's interesting. We brought up the whole aspect of biological possibilities of, these UFOs actually being life forms. Again, the bioluminescent characteristic of it seems that it could be like a deep sea creature, deep sea water fish or something. But again, I'm still thinking that this is some kind of drone that you don't see in the shot, and it's suspending something down into the water and lifting it up. It could be like a fisherman out there trying to bait some fish. It's a possibility. I'm not sure. I know a lot of drone is used in fishing nowadays, but
just going off of what you said, even though this is in a river in Pennsylvania, it's like I know there are a lot of deep caverns all over the planet where these waterways go very deep down into these inner parts of Earth, and I feel like in inner Earth there would be a lot of bioluminescent type creatures that our scientists around the world haven't even come close to discovering yet. So it makes sense to me that maybe occasionally something comes up from inner Earth, all these deep underwater caverns, and appears and freaks people out. I don't know. I think that could definitely happen.
You just never know. Yeah, the phenomenon of the world's still a mystery. There's a lot to learn on this planet. What are we looking at? I really like that this thing came down from the sky, entered the lake over there in Philadelphia, the little river, and then it came out of the water and went straight to the sky. I see this little axis, which makes me think maybe it's not a drone lifting it up, because it's at a tilt. The axis is kind of pointing a little like at 11 o'clock, which is really interesting. You think it'd just be dropping straight. So this is weird. If this thing's all on its own by itself, we're looking at something special. So that's what Third Phase Moon is all about. We just don't know what it is. Look at that commercial airliner that went just behind it. Really great perspective. This video is pretty off the hook. I'm still wrapping my mind around it.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at this a little closer, Brett, you make some great points there. And maybe there is no drone involved in whatever we're looking at. It has its own propulsion, and we can't explain what's going on. So again, it's quite interesting. Some people might say it's fake. Some people say it's real. We believe what we're looking at. There's no manipulation, no CGI. We're not putting up CGI videos, and if we do, we're going to call it out the way we see it. Let's take it into thin air with this special report. Guys, listen up.
And there's been so much going on that it is actually impossible to cover all this stuff. So we're going to stick to a few key points here. One of them taking place today, a very serious situation with our weather radar system. For at least the third time in a month, we have gone through here in the United States and parts of Canada a major National Weather Service outage. And once again, this is coming on the heels or right before significant weather. And it's very, very interesting how this seemingly ties in with what's going on down by Antarctica in South Africa. Another situation going absolutely crazy on the internet, and I'm really starting to believe that a lot of this has to do with different types of frequencies, whether or not, and I'm not saying this lightly, it's being used as some sort of weapon where we're seeing repercussions of whoever it is using this technology messing with the Earth's weather. Honestly, there's so many different theories out there, but one thing we do know is that these situations are repeating themselves, not just the weather radar, but the situation down by Antarctica. It's happened more than once. So once again, as I put these side by side, the anomaly from February and then the anomaly again we just covered from April, which right away should show you that this was no glitch, and it's happened even before February, coming from the exact same spot where there is an island and a very weird looking area to the west of that island that very much has the setup and looks like a large antenna system. Of course, this may not exactly be the case, but there is something, absolutely something, when it comes to frequency or some sort of powerful equipment down in this remote area of the world. We are constantly seeing anomalies and weird artifacts on radar, and a lot of it's been coming from this area and for a long time. I mean, just look at how symmetrical this one random area in the South Atlantic Ocean near Antarctica, and it just looks out of place. Of course, this could be some sort of boat maneuvering and scanning the ocean floor, but why right there? What's going on right here in this area? Okay, now to recap, and this is very important, again, and I'm sorry if this seems repetitive, but it's very important, the island right here in between Antarctica, South Africa. This is the exact point of where the anomaly began back in February and in April. So two separate times that we have documented, and it's happened more than that. According to comments I've gotten and people reaching out on X, this is not the first or second time we've seen this anomaly come from right in this exact area. So again, that led me to go down here to this island to scope it out, which we did in a previous video. It just looks like a snow-covered island, nothing really going on here, some weird shapes, and what looks like a very weird pyramid structure that reminds me of a very crazy discovery discovery I found on Antarctica a few years back that went viral on YouTube. That has been linked here and on X as well. But when you actually move over to where the anomaly on Windy was caught, that is where we see this type of frequency looking setup. It just reminds me of looking down on a big antenna structure. And I mean, again, this is a very weird pattern to have right in the middle of the ocean somewhere where there's really not much going on. It's really just this island here, a super remote island, a few scattered islands out and about, but ground zero once again is right here. Even the frequencies that we saw on the Mimic chart matched up with this exact time frame, and then all you have to do is check out the weather in Cape Town, South Africa, and you will see that this area specifically has been having very, very odd weather, random fires, very rough seas. In one video I saw people walking around with water up to their knees, and these people in Cape Town are the ones posting these videos and talking about it. A lot of them have reached out to me to point out my video and explain to me that right around this anomaly, and even the last time this anomaly happened, they had very severe weather. And as I stated earlier, this ties into what's going on with our weather radar here in the United States. Because in this day and age, with the technology that we supposedly have, for our weather radars all at the same time to go down on multiple occasions within a month, I don't know about you, but to me, that seems like pre-planning to its finest. Now, as we stated, we lost half to nearly all of our National Weather Service weather radars. I don't think people realize how important that is. That means for a period of time, we had no data. Take a look at this. This right here is weather.cod.edu, a very good satellite weather radar station. And I want you to look what happens right about here. Look at that. We just lost from 7:30 UTC all the way to 1850. Completely erased, does not exist. I'll show you again. Let's backtrack. Here is April 15th, 6 o'clock UTC. As we move forward, it skips 11 hours of data. Boom, just like that. So you can see the extent of what this will do just a little while of our radars being down. Now also, and this is wild, take a look at this GIF chart here. I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and you're going to see these artifacts popping up at the same exact time that we lost all that data. And it's still continuing right now. These little frequency artifacts, I have no idea where they're coming from, but they certainly are being picked up by satellite while the radars were down. Now, I know many of you may be new to this type of information, and I understand how there's contradicting thoughts, especially with people that don't study this type of stuff on a daily basis like I do, and a lot of you do. So we got to be patient with people that don't quite understand what we're seeing here. We're seeing cause and effect. There are some serious things going on near South Africa specifically, whether that be exactly when this anomaly happened or shortly after, and even before, as you're seeing on video right now. Each time we see these weird pulses coming out of that Antarctica area, it's usually followed by some sort of phenomena, whether it be South Africa or leading anywhere up the entire Atlantic Ocean. There's no telling what this type of technology can do if that's what we're dealing with here.
That's for sure. And Into Thin Air, we appreciate you and your special report. I know you got more updates coming up on your channel. So everybody go check out Into Thin Air. I'm going to be supplying the original link in the description. Now, Brent, quickly, before we get to the videos coming in from Russia and from around the world, it's quite incredible, the evidence right here at Third Phase of Moon. What do you make of this stuff in the Antarctic?
Yes, strange to say the least. Antarctica is a mystery, and what we're looking at is a mystery, this phenomenon, anomaly that just kicked off. And Brian had the good eye to report on this. His video went viral just a couple days ago, so that's congratulations on that one. Hey, when you're breaking down the reports and we're looking at something that we cannot explain, this is what it's all about.
You know, there's so much strangeness that happens in this region of the planet, and it's one of those areas that you just really can't get to. We've looked into exploring the Antarctic and maybe hiring a vessel to get around, but it's about 80 to 250,000 per person. They make it really difficult, and some of these world leaders, they have access. They're going up there for a reason. A lot of it is unknown, but guys, let me tell you what we're about to share with you in the next 10 to 20 minutes is quite incredible. And this one coming out of Russia had the whole team over here at Third Phase of Moon scratching their head, wondering what the heck this possibly could be. Guys, an incredible bright orb captured in Russia itself. Watch this.
Ну блин, уже ни хрена не понятно. Во, сейчас поднимается, вот оно. Вот оно, не фокусирует. Вот, опять к нам летит. Тихо, блин, он не хочет фокусироваться, как назло. Вот, летит и светит. Летит и светит. И не фокусируется на нем. Все по классике.
Let's roll this video once again, and we're going to do some enhancements because it deserves it. In my opinion, at first I thought this could be simply a drone, but when we see the illumination that comes across on the camera lens itself is quite a display in luminosity here. As you can see, this bright orb lights up the ground beneath it, and we're not seeing any kind of indication of a helicopter or an airplane. This orb is tremendous in its brilliance of light right now, and again illuminating on the surface itself and just kind of hovering there. The dogs are kind of enjoying the snow, maybe oblivious to what's going on to the right of them, but let's watch it again. We're gonna get a closer look. Guys, I want to get your opinions as the people roll in this live premiere right here at Third Phase of Moon. There's a lot of drama going around. People going after people and trying to suppress information, especially UFO Twitter. It seems that their ethics have really dropped over the past couple years. What's wrong with these guys? But anyway, we're back to this video, looking at it very close and seeing it in full detail here. This is actually pretty clear, and look how bright it is. It's lighting up the field beneath it. Brent, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is wild, Blake. This is great footage. You see the dogs running off, and she is actually humming and whistling to herself the X-Files theme, because what she's seeing is something amazing. I like the way this just approached the camera. At first, I thought it was maybe a plane coming in with its headlights, but then it did this bank to the right there, and you could notice it just kind of descends slowly with this bluish hueish light. It's awesome. We've seen these orbs like this for decades, but this is one of the best captures I've seen for quite some time. Look at this thing. It's just illuminating the ground there, and it's almost touching it. What's going on here? Is Russia pulling off new technology? Are they experimenting with propulsion that we're not familiar with?
Yeah, Brian, I'm wondering the same thing. And also, maybe it could be a natural occurrence. Is ball lightning what we're witnessing here? Could it be biological in nature? Some kind of plasmic field of an unknown species that we're unaware of? But then again, I'm really happy that people across the planet are interested in the phenomenon. And even on a cold night, if these people weren't out there walking their dogs, nobody would have seen this. So this is very peculiar in the way most UFO videos come into Third Phase of Moon. It's basically the public that has no idea what a UFO is. They don't even think about it, but they notice something strange that is not natural to what they think in natural process, absorbing information as it's processed through the brain. But they're smart enough to get their camera out because they're seeing something they can't explain. And right now I'm having a hard time explaining to you what exactly this could be. That's why we're trying to get the answers. Hopefully maybe somebody on the ground might be able to get to this area and see if there's any residual trace elements of something that maybe have been detached from this craft as it was so close. Maybe there could be a crop circle within the area. We need more information on this video. Brent, any last thoughts before we get to the next one?
Yeah, we see a little landmark, some sort of tower in the background. I urge you, if you're familiar with this place in Russia, go down there right now. This could be a new hotspot. You never know. And if you're out there, if you have a camera, you see something like this, you film it. This, again, is good footage, and I'm glad we're looking at it closer right here. And this thing does touch down. It's amazing.
And some people might simply dismiss this as trickery or a reflection or some kind of CGI hoax going on here, but in my opinion this is 100% legit. The question is, what is it? cigar-shaped craft over bodies of water. I think this is a Pacific Ocean. And the trick is, Brent's telling me right now that it is confirmed off the coast of California. Thanks for that. Is that a Coast Guard vessel out there as well? I'm not exactly sure what kind of ship that is, but the question is what kind of ship is levitating in the air, moving from right to left here. They actually held the camera pretty steady so we could get a good look at it, and I'm not seeing any kind of cabin underneath this or any kind of tail coming off the back end of the craft, so I'm gonna have to dismiss the Goodyear blimp. What's going on here, in my opinion, is possible military experimental craft is what we're looking at, and what a great place to do this off the coast of California and possibly near this Malibu base. Brent, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm thinking this, with the information that was given to me, I'm thinking this is more closer to Baja, and that's interesting. This activity of UFOs and encounters with the Nimitz back in 2017. Is there a military UFO exercise going on in the Pacific? That's a big, definite possibility. Now, I'm looking at this. It's large and it's moving right to left at some speed. This thing's quite far away, and look at the speed that it's traveling. It's moving pretty fast. Now, people might dismiss this as a blimp, but why would a blimp be so far out over an ocean where they're not displaying an advertisement? That's not what they're in business for. They're there to display themselves. What's going on here? Here's a good map of right off the coast of California where it took place, and here we go. This is good information coming in.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up so we could actually nail down the exact location of whatever this craft is. And in my opinion, like you said, Brent, it has no business being out there. I don't think it's anything to do with some kind of commercial advertisement. I'm thinking this could either be possible some kind of life form with advanced technology known as extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, whatever you call it. Maybe they exist in a short amount of time in areas that people are lucky enough to capture it on camera as we're looking at it right now. Again, it's very rigid in its form. I'm not seeing any kind of cabin. So again, I'm trying to get a closer look on this and see if I see any kind of navigational lights on this or FAA lights. I'm not seeing any of this. And even blimps are required by the FAA to have anti-collision lights aboard their vehicles, and I'm not seeing any of this. Some people might also say that it looks like the Tic Tac, but according to Fravor and some of the other pilots, this thing's much, much larger. And then again, this is a dark shade, not the white Tic Tac as we all know it, but in my opinion, that's because of the direction of the sun shadowing the craft itself. Brent, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. This thing's pretty much darkened out by the sun's setting itself. I'm going to throw one more thing out there. Could this be maybe a banner being pulled by an airplane? We've got some really good close-ups right here, and we don't see anything tugging this. Whatever's moving, I'm thinking it's moving on its own flight path. So what we're looking at here is a big question. We're ruling out CGI. That's for sure. This is the real deal. Now, like I always say, the big question, what is it?
Yep. And again, the actual location to this craft off the coast of California. Guys, we want the answers, and hopefully we could get them for you. But right now, this case is on the chalkboard for unknown. Now, take a look at this. Bizarro, right? These kind of UFOs are kind of making the rounds. And here's another one that's kind of in really close proximity to the person who's shooting it. And I don't know about you guys, but if this was kind of approaching me, I'd be definitely pulling out my camera, but I would be kind of concerned on what's its agenda in close proximity to me. This is pretty bizarro. Brent, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, notice the big power lines and the structure holding it up. The tower Is it interested in the electrical field? They're getting pretty close. If it had a touch with these lines, it would blow up. Now, could this be a balloon? Look at the spikes on it. I don't see it moving. It's not rotating or bobbing like a normal balloon would. This thing seems to be on its own flight path, just calmly dropping down, and seem to be aware of the power lines in itself. It looks almost biological, some people might say. This was given to us, and Jaime Maussan wanted to ask, what does the American people think of this video? What's going on here?
Yeah, absolutely. Telemusoro and Jaime Maussan reaches out. They want us to share their evidence to the American community and as well the world itself. They know Third Phase Moon's a huge platform getting the information out. So appreciate that, Jaime Maussan out of Mexico. But again, the question is, what the heck is this? You're right, Brent. If this were a balloon, I would think I would see some kind of undulation on the structure of itself. It's very, very rigid. Even the spikes itself seem not to waver one single bit. So in my opinion, whatever this is, it has some girth to it. It's very rigid, and I don't see any prop propeller blades, so it's not a drone. So again, we're just trying to figure out what the phenomenon is, and if this indeed is a phenomenon of some kind of life that we're unaware of. Well, that's the whole idea of Third Phase of Moon. That's why we're asking the public to send us their footage. And again, we want to thank Jaime Maussan for getting this to us. Even though the clip's pretty short, I would have liked to see where it went, where it came from, maybe some eyewitness testimony as we get from the public. But that being said, it's still very bizarro. Now, let's get to this. It's a pretty cool sighting of what looks to be some kind of experimental craft at a high altitude, illuminating the clouds. Watch this. So I'm pulling the video up once again and zooming in about 50% to get a closer look. And I'm looking at this bright orb. I can see that it's high up there in the atmosphere, possibly the stratosphere or maybe space. I'm not sure if this could be a satellite. I'm not seeing any FA lights on it, so I'm gonna have to rule out commercial. But I really like points of this video where you can see it shimmer off the clouds. So then I'm thinking this is a lot closer to the person on the ground who's shooting this, as it illuminates the clouds around it. This is pretty interesting. Look at this as it illuminates the clouds. This is pretty bright, and this is beyond any kind of drone that I'm aware of to do this kind of activity. And I would estimate these clouds to be at least maybe 10 to 15,000 feet in altitude. Brent, what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You could just see it. It's kind of dancing in and out of the clouds itself. It's doing its path. It almost seems to stall at some point too. This is pretty cool. We're seeing orbs. People are submitting them to us on a daily basis, and this is good evidence right here. Could this be something in space, a possible satellite? Well, that's a question here, but we did see it right there where it illuminated the clouds itself, and that was pretty spectacular.
Absolutely, Brent. Maybe Space Force is up to something up there, above top secret kind of things. That's something to comprehend and keep into the thought process as we move along in this field of ufology, or getting to the truth, or disclosure, whatever you call it. I think we all understand we're trying to find the answers right here. Technologists might say it is an atmospheric phenomenon due to the fact of a static charge. Seismic activity could create a static charge, but I'm ruling that out as well. This seems more organic and lifelike. Some kind of harness of the energy from the volcano. This is pretty incredible stuff right here.
Yeah, the best part, not only do we get footage from nighttime, including daytime, it seems to be happening on a 24/7 at this particular volcano, and the activity over there, it's nonstop. What's really going on? And that's the big question around the planet. Volcanoes seem to be a magnet for UFOs. It's just outstanding.
A huge beam of light comes out of this massive light source coming from the skies, shooting down towards the Pacific Ocean. What the heck are we looking at? We've got multiple angles from different eyewitnesses witnessing this, and it is quite incredible. Welcome to Third Phase Moon, everybody, and we are bringing it to you right now. This footage that has rocked Third Phase Moon. We watched this earlier today, and we were pretty amazed at what we're looking at. Brent's got some details along with more angles from multiple eyewitnesses seeing this. It's absolutely stunning what we're looking at here.
Yeah, Blake, check this out. We got a side-by-side angle. Again, this was captured from P.S. Feliz. He said that this was a phenomenon. He didn't know what it was, and we're looking at something that we can understand. We're seeing the right, it's kind of blown up, and we see the other one on the left. We're looking at this. We're asking the question, is this a craft in the sky that's illuminating a beam to the ground, or is it vice versa? Is it coming from the ground up? Here's a good close-up as somebody's driving there and getting a good shot here.
When you wonder what the source could be for this massive luminance of light coming from the sky, like you suggest, Brent, from the ground, it's just hard to wrap your mind around what we're looking at. Is this some kind of new weapon, or some kind of weather manipulation, something natural, or are we looking at something otherworldly? Right now, I could tell you, we're looking at something legitimate. Some people might dismiss this as CGI. Let me tell you, Third Phase of Moon, if you're looking for CGI, you're in the wrong place. I would say about 99% of what we're putting on here is legitimate footage, and nobody's perfect in this field, but I'd say the record's pretty good at calling what is CGI and what's not, and what we're looking at right here is legitimate, and including the multiple sources confirmed something went down. We're hoping we're going to see more of this footage and some explanation from somebody that could give us some answers.
Yeah, again, looking at this, could this be, again, new technology that's being produced and showcased for the public to see? Maybe it's done secretly off someplace in the Pacific. We just don't know. Again, I haven't seen this. If anybody's aware of what this technology is, let us know.
Yes, we're open to suggestions, maybe possible explanations as well, and your comments. It really means a lot. Now, more video into Third Phase Moon. Behold. Again, driving on the side of the freeway, somebody captures a moment in time. We're kind of slowing the footage down, a side-by-side comparison. We're looking a little closer to the right frame here of some kind of streak over the night skyline. Some kind of sphere-like object or shape is making up the top portion of this. Is this some kind of rocket being launched? Something that Elon Musk could be involved with. It doesn't look like a SpaceX launch that I'm aware of, but you know, we get a lot of these, and again, this just doesn't seem quite like a SpaceX. This looks different to me.
Yeah, this was taken by Juana York out of Puerto Rico, so maybe there's an opportunity to see a launch from there. Again, this could be an aftermath of one of Elon Musk's rocket launches, one of his SpaceX. Again, we don't know, but it seems like some sort of projection in the sky that we just can't explain.
Yes, with Elon Musk, usually you see telltale signs of boosters re-entering or the module itself being shot into space. I'm not seeing any of that right now. I'm just seeing a cloud formation. On the left, I kind of see a star up in the sky. Could that be a SpaceX? Again, we get these videos coming in from everybody from around the world. We got to lock down the exact time and place of this. But if this is some kind of weather phenomenon or something that could be secretive, some kind of secret program, we want to show it all, and that's what we're here for at Third Phase of Moon, is showcasing the evidence. Brent, again, as we're looking at this a little closer, you see that bright light to the top. Is that a star or a planet, or you think it could be a SpaceX Falcon rocket?
That's a big question. I don't know, but we're looking at this thing, and there's a prism of lights. You see a little purple, white, yellow, all these kind of a contrast of colors. It's pretty. It's a really good looking shot. If I saw this, I'd film it. I'd submit it to Third Phase.
You're looking at vintage video from 1980s, never seen before, including an update from the volcano in South America of what looks to be some kind of mysterious orb. We're going to be showcasing this in incredible detail, including an update from Into Thin Air of what looks to be some kind of celestial event, a UFO approaching the sun and changes directions. Incredible stuff right here at Third Phase Moon. Buckle up, let's get to it. Take a look at this first video right now. We've got Rich Giordano from GoofOn. He's going to be joining us on this incredible episode, giving us his opinion of this incredible UFO encounter shot in the 1980s. Listen up.
You can tell it's not CGI. It definitely doesn't look like CGI, but you're talking about the 80s, so they didn't really do that back then. So you got to stop saying that. If it's a blimp, I've never seen one like it in the 80s, and I'm a child of the 80s, so I don't know what this thing is. This is pretty legit looking. It even has some depth to it, like there's like indentations on the object, and it's not just one solid shape, you know, like a sports model type of disc. This has maybe different levels inside, but the way it's built, it looks like it's got different layers. Or wow, it is really interesting. Yeah, good stuff, man. See, this is what ufology's about right here. This is it.
That's right, Rich, and we're looking at it once again. Quite incredible. From the 1980s, a vintage video comes forward, and again, like you said, Rich, no CGI. This is real stuff we're sharing with you. The question is, what the heck are we looking at? Bob Lazar speaks of the sports model. Is this something in regards to that technology, something that defies gravity or seemingly defies gravity with no means of propulsion? It's quite interesting. Again, the jagged edges that's protruding around this craft, and you can see it hover and descend behind the rooftop there. So it is quite interesting. I'm trying to gauge on how large this craft is. I'm guessing, I don't know, 20 to maybe 40 feet in diameter. Brent, what's your thoughts here?
We're looking at something crazy, and everybody's mentioning the appendages on this. I like it a lot. What this reminds me of is recent sightings in Latin America that look exactly like this, and decades earlier, we're looking at the same phenomenon. This is exciting stuff. I hope more people in the future will go through those archives.
They're not hiding, and they weren't hiding back then either. Again, we get this one shot where the person's zooming into it, and this craft is off at a distance. And again, we see nothing that indicates any kind of propulsion, and it seems metallic as well. So pretty incredible stuff, to say the least. Guys, I want to get your opinions in this live premiere. We're in the chat, we're chiming in real time. We're wanting to find out what's going on here, because we're being left in the dark. NASA's not giving us any straight answers. Obviously, the UFO task force is a joke, and the only place you're going to see any kind of disclosure and the latest UFO videos. Once again, this video right here has never been seen before until just now, right here on Third Phase of Moon, and it is interesting. Something to say. I've never seen it, so I'm not sure if it's been around, but again, this is news to me. So whether it's shot in the 80s, in the 70s, or in 2023 coming up, it doesn't matter. If you haven't seen it before, it is something that needs to be shared right here at Third Phase of Moon. Now, let's get to Into Thin Air. He's made an incredible discovery from the Lasco NASA cams of what looks to be some kind of UFO changing directions. Hit it, Into Thin Air.
I'm sure many of you, this will not be the first time you have seen or heard about this recent footage that has been caught on the Lasco C3 camera as what seemingly looked like some sort of beam going through our sun, then causing a CME. Now that is the least of our worries when it comes to this particular clip, because what happens after that is something that not many people have ever seen nor can explain. And when I say that, I mean that some of the biggest astronomical and space experts out there cannot seem to figure out what this object is that is making its way towards the sun and then makes a complete U-turn, then launches away at an incredible speed. I am now repeating this in real time so you can actually see and visualize that this thing is approaching the sun before turning away. Now, many of us have seen sun diving comets that go towards the sun, but they always wrap around the sun and either get destroyed in the process by the sun's heat, and in rare occasions can make it out the other side. But this is not the case. This thing is approaching and then turning away from the sun, which again, as I said, from research I've done so far and listening to some of the biggest channels and voices out there that study this stuff, simply just don't understand what is going on here. Some even saying that this is an actual craft or object, clearly some sort of object to have been captured on this camera to begin with, but the movements and the drastic change in direction and the speed at which it leaves has to make you wonder, what exactly is this thing? Now, what I would like to do is go back to that beam that seemingly, and I mean seemingly, I'm not saying this actually took place, but this beam looks as if it causes a CME on our sun, and it's within the same 24-hour period that craft or that orb or whatever this is that then makes that U-turn away from the sun actually takes place. So this isn't a bunch of different clips put together. This is taking place within about a 24 to 36 hour period.
Incredible. Into Thin Air, what a report, bringing forth the information. He has a keen eye, and he's looking for the anomalies, the UFOs, and what we've got here is something quite incredible. Guys, I want to get your opinions in the chat right now. What do you think it is? Is this just space junk, or is this possibly some kind of craft changing directions? Quite astonishing, to say the least. I want NASA to give us some explanations. We haven't seen this kind of phenomenon before. We've got Richard Giordano right now. Rich from GoofOn, what's your thoughts here?
So this object that's heading towards the sun, now it's really interesting for a couple of reasons. The first reason is the obvious one. It makes a turn as it gets near the sun. That is something you never see. That's the second thing. You've never seen that before when you're watching these kind of videos from this type of perspective, from that camera angle. And you always see the specks going into the sun out the other end or one direction only, never turning. This is the first time I've ever seen that, and I can't explain why that would be. Someone said, I read somewhere, maybe it was solar winds and it was pushing this thing around. I don't think it works that way, but I don't know if it's a disc-shaped object, but the size of this thing would have to be what? Maybe like half the size of the Earth, if anything. It's huge. I don't know what else I could say about it other than it's unique and it's just not going in a straight line. It's turning. So is that intelligence? Are we looking at something or someone? Is it us? Do we have that technology to get that close to the sun? Apparently we can take ET home. I don't know what we have here, but it's heading towards the sun and turning away. It's interesting though.
That's right, Rich. Ben Rich from Lockheed Skunk Works told Jim Goodall, our friend, that we have the power to take ET home. That's what Lockheed Skunk Works, the late Ben Rich, told Jim Goodall. Is this some kind of evidence of some kind of interstellar craft that we're looking at? Or is it something mundane? As Into Thin Air did a special report, this is captured within 30 to 46 hours. We're watching it in time lapse as it does its loop. And, there's been strange anomalies being captured by the sun for decades now. And we have no explanation to what these are. And things just don't change direction without some kind of propulsion behind it. Could it be the solar waves creating some kind of bounce effect, repelling it from the sun? Brent, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the sped up footage and it kind of gives a little detail. I like it. Some people might say that the object looks like it comes to a complete stop, but maybe this thing's just kind of ricocheting and taking a curve instead of a direct stop. Again, I do like the analysis that Into Thin Air is providing right here, and there's a phenomenon happening. This is a celestial event, and I'd like more information on it. Great stuff.
Wouldn't it be nice if NASA just kind of came forward and would explain these things away? I'm pretty sure national security would prevent them from telling us what's really going on. Could you imagine if this is some kind of starcraft harnessing the energy from the sun? Speaking of energy, volcanoes are magnets for UFOs. Here's a new one that's just come in. Watch this.
Mírala. Mira esa luz de ahí. ¿Sí la estás viendo? La luz. ¿Sí la miras la luz o solo la miro yo?
Dame tu mano, mi amor, acá arriba.
No. Mira. Miren esa luz extraña. Miren ahí.
Se le está apareciendo.
Yo la estoy grabando.
¿Qué miran? Una luz, ahí ve una luz. ¡Ah!
Me preocupa ya. Upa.
¿Estás bien? Manos.
Si no la tapa, ¿no? Mírala ahí. Es que lo chistoso es que está flotando y cuando la miramos en el suelo. ¿Qué será, no? Mira. Miren esa luz extraña. Miren ahí.
Se le está apareciendo.
Yo la estoy grabando.
¿Qué miran? Una luz, ahí ve una luz. ¡Ah!
Me preocupa ya.
¿Estás bien? Manos.
Mírala. Mira esa luz de ahí. ¿Sí la estás viendo? La luz.
Te ayudo.
¿Sí la miras la luz o solo la miro yo?
Dame tu mano, mi amor, acá arriba.
No.
Again, people on the big island of Hawaii, and we live on the most active volcano on the planet. UFOs are very, very consistent around volcanoes. But right now, we're in St. Augustine, Florida. we're traveling across America. And again, we're bringing these videos to you as we're traveling, making new documentaries for you. But at the moment, we can't explain to you what exactly this could be. Is this some kind of reflection? In my opinion, this isn't any kind of lens flare or some kind of reflection or Pepper's ghost, as some people might say. Something's there, and it's quite interesting to look at this as the person pulls in, and we notice some kind of glimmery light off at the distance. And it's really cool that these people stuck around to get some really good broad daylight footage. Look how far this is away, and they did a really good job zooming in on this thing. Brent, what's your thoughts here? Is this something mundane like ball lightning, or is this some kind of phenomenon that could be biological in nature?
Volcanoes are an active area for UFO sightings, and I'm not surprised that they capture something like this in South America and Latin America. It's a hot spot.
Just pull this up. I do have some background information on this video, and it's in my email. Just let me pull this up, and this is what we heard. An incredible giant orb caught in the Cumbal volcano in Colombia, Norino. And the eyewitness says that this happened in Colombia during the ascent of during their descent or ascent to the Cumbal volcano. So they were traversing up to the volcano when they spotted this. They said they observed a giant sphere of light, and it was inhospitable in the place that it was located. It couldn't have been anything, as these guys were saying. First, the sphere, they said, was on the ground, and then it approached them, and they were actually kind of concerned in regards to this being in close proximity to them. So whatever it is, in my opinion, these UFOs aren't a threat. If they're not ours, let's just put it that way, they're not. Because in our opinion, a lot of these UFOs are man-made with technology that's been suppressed from us for over a century. A broad daylight sighting of something that appears metallic. It's hovering up there. It's pretty stable, and I thought we should share this. At first, I thought it could have been a drone or a balloon, but the characteristics of this managed to capture the person on the ground's eye, and they're filming it, and they don't know what's going on, and it's pretty crystal clear day.
Yeah, this is kind of cool. We're seeing it rise. What we're looking at is 100% legit. No CGI. In my opinion, this is captured by somebody on the ground, and he's doing a great job. He's focusing on this, and we see it kind of just rise above. Again, there's this phenomenon of metallic spheres being seen in war zones all over the world. Could it be some sort of special project, this new operation, or could it be something mundane? That's a pretty good close-up. What are we looking at?
Okay, first I started to think, is this possibly a natural phenomenon? But then, obviously, if it was, I would have think the guy probably wouldn't have recorded it and reacted the way he did. And then when he zoomed in, I started to notice, obviously, it was also growing too. And what looked is like appendages, which are not necessarily attached. They also could be following the thing. So I don't know what to make of it. I'm not saying this is extraterrestrial. It could possibly be our technology, but it's probably not natural phenomena.
Hey, look, if it's metallic and we're not seeing any kind of means of propulsion, prop propeller blades or anything like that, what's keeping it up in the air really quickly, John?
I think the technology, when it has no wings, no propellers or anything like that, is probably what Bob Lazar talked about and many other people have mentioned, anti-gravity technology, unless it's some sort of technology we don't even know yet, like dark matter. But since people have been talking about anti-gravity for decades, that's what's been going on S4. When it has no conventional shape of airplanes or helicopters, I believe that is what's able to control things hovering and going massive fast with having no contrails or affecting the crashing the craft.
We're looking at the next video, and as you speak about extraordinary technology, we're looking at something that's quite amazing. Look at this. This thing just rises up, takes a 90-degree angle, and just rips across the sky. if this were a craft and if the laws of physics were correct, it would have crushed itself with this maneuver. Brett, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, the occupants, the craft itself, the inertia is so fast. It looks like it just ricochets to the left, and it gives us a really nice look of propulsion. What we're looking at is something really cool because we're seeing the glow in the sky. It lights up the clouds. It seems real. In my opinion, this is legit. Could it be a lens flare? In my opinion, I'm not seeing that. What I'm seeing is something moving at extraordinary rates of speed.
You know, I think this is the most incredible, like, credible footage that we've seen in a long time. You know, personally, I mean, the way it kind of hovers up and then shoots at a 90-degree angle like that, the force that is going, the speed that is going, that is not a drone. That's not anything that, maybe we are capable of making, in my opinion.
The only way our science understands is if it's using anti-gravity technology. People usually talk about a pilot getting crushed. For instance, an F-16 making a hook turn over 12 Gs would not just kill the pilot, but it would crash the actual F-16. There is no way our technology can do this. Like Apollo said, this is hands down some of the greatest technology or greatest video of watching this technology than ever seen before.
Now, more videos just in, and we're looking at this. It's actually a still photograph of something that looks maybe biblical. Some people are speculating that we're looking at some kind of ascension of something, but is it otherworldly or is it something practical? That's the big question here.
Yeah, but like this photo was taken in Latin America. It's been making the rounds. I've seen this around for the past 3 days. People are doing like this AI kind of enhancement on what we're looking at, but what I like is just the original raw data. AI could kind of mix things up and put some sort of pareidolia in it, but what we're looking at here is something off in the distance over the city, and we're seeing something hovering over there that we can't explain. What is this? Is this something otherworldly, something strange? That's exactly what it is. We just don't know.
The first thing that comes to mind for me when I see this is it really looks a lot like some sort of religious symbolism to me. I mean, that's the only thing that comes to mind for me. I mean, what if, it is, or it's some sort of psychological experiment on the masses that someone partook in? I'm not sure, but that's what comes to mind for me. Doctor.
The irony is, I actually looked at it from a different perspective. You all make great points, but to me, this reminds me of the 1561 Nuremberg sighting, which was actually carved into I don't want to say a wood painting, but whatever they used at that era, which had basically like a Star Wars fight over the city. Everything from crosses to orbs to tube lights to everything, all sorts of shapes, basically fighting. So that's the first impression I got. Unfortunately, it's only a still. We don't see how it's traveling, but it's very compelling, that's for sure.
Yeah, propaganda or something that could be mysterious. That's what we're here for right here at Third Phase Moon. Now we've got more coming in of what looks to be some kind of starship that streaks across the sky, captured on video, shocking the people that witnessed it themselves. Take a look at this.
This one is something that we all need to look at again. Are we looking at something experimental, something off in the atmosphere, or maybe up in space? This thing's cooking and it's moving fast. Then we get to see some details, especially right there. Look at that. We're seeing the tail and then these appendages. Is this a craft, supersonic? What are we looking at?
Whatever it is, I think it looks like a ship to me, and it's coming in fast. Maybe hypersonic speed. It looks like it has some sort of wings or something coming out of it. I mean, this is really incredible. What I'm wondering, I wish I could see where it lands or how the video ends.
When you're looking at this, it's crazy. It almost looks like a Star Wars movie. Like we pull up some Mandalorian shots, and it resembles the technology that we're looking at in this still from the video itself. John?
Immediately at first glance, I started to think, was this a meteor or something? But then that changed right away when I started to see what looked like a jet engine contrail. But it's not necessarily a contrail with smoke because it's more like a glow. And then when I saw it zoomed up, and you see what Paula mentioned, like wings, but to me, it looks like an orb on each side following it. I think what you all said, hypersonic craft coming in, that's probably the best suggestion. I think that's probably in line with what it is. Maybe we're testing some new drone technology. Maybe it's the Space Force coming in for a landing, but it's probably our technology, not aerial phenomena that's natural.
Yeah, and once again, I think we've cracked the code on propulsion, and what we're looking at is basically straight out of a Star Wars movie, and it's happening right above our heads on a daily basis, and people are capturing this, and people want to call this CGI. We're looking at legitimate footage right here at Third Phase Moon. We're breaking the news consistently, and this is one of the ones that we wanted to showcase once again of something, in my opinion, is experimental, and it proves that there's something going on that our government, our private corporations aren't telling us. This is a private corporation deal right here.
You know, a lot of times science fiction isn't so far from reality. A lot of sci-fi writers actually, over the recent decades, have created sort of imagery that NASA actually ended up working on, such as like, orbital rings and asteroid bubble worlds. So, it makes a lot of sense to me that if this is being portrayed in our media now, that maybe there's something out there, whether it's extraterrestrial or done by our own government.
What Paula says, actually, I've always believed that science fiction and science actually go hand in hand. A lot of stuff what appeared in Hollywood was in reflection to what people actually saw, and sometimes vice versa, like rockets they were drawing over 100 years ago in comics looked similar to what was used during World War II and eventually by NASA.
You're right. And the black budget programs and the money that has been missed, it's unaccounted for, trillions of dollars. This is the kind of stuff I think that we're investing into, but with these black budget programs and private corporations. Brent, is this video proof of something that is otherworldly or something that we created ourselves and using maybe reverse engineered alien tech?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me, talking to our good friend Jim Goodall. He mentioned he is talking to his really good friend Ben Rich from Lockheed Skunk Works president, and he says we have the technology to take ET home. That's the big quote right there. And if Lockheed Martin has that, and they've been keeping it in cover for the past 70 years, we're looking at something that's, again, technology that's being hidden from us. Unfortunately, we just need to crack the code, and everybody needs to, people on the ground, break it, because the government's not going to break it to us.
It's interesting, too. Lockheed Skunk Works, Ben Rich also stated, if you've seen the movie Star Wars, we've been there, we've done that. So that's pretty crazy as well. We've got a new video, but one quick statement here.
I think the way consciousness works, from what I've heard, if you're capable of perceiving it, then you're capable of achieving it. So it makes a lot of sense.
Well said there. Let me tell you, we've got a lot of videos that don't make sense. That's why we're here, sharing the phenomenon. We're just asking questions. Watch this. Something at a massive luminance just shocked a neighborhood and this little town. It appeared in the night sky, and people were wondering what the heck's going on. And we've got the multiple angles of this event. We still don't have answers, but I don't think this is any kind of drone that we're aware of right now. Is this some kind of plasmic phenomenon going on? Something that might be biological or something natural? This is the question. I'm not saying there's little green men in this one.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and we're very familiar with flares and everything like that. We've covered this over almost 15 years here at Third Phase Moon. This looks a little different. We're not seeing it drop. It's just stationary, and it's very bright. It's like illuminating this purple reddish hue. What I like about it, it's just not dropping. It's static. What's keeping this up in the sky, and what kind of technology is this?
Whenever I see this phenomena, I immediately think plasma balls or plasmoids. There's so much energy deep under the earth, and maybe, who knows, maybe there are experimental programs working with plasma. I'm sure there's a lot of that out there. I think there's a lot of plasma that scientists haven't even begun to understand what they can use it for. But you know, these balls of plasma are coming up out of the earth all the time, and I think a lot of times when you see these balls of colored light, that's what you're seeing.
You know, the fact that we're seeing a ball of light, very luminescent, doesn't necessarily mean we're looking at some sort of technology. We have to be skeptical and open-minded and understand that natural things happen from the earth. Usually before and after an earthquake, people see balls of light or plasma balls coming from fault lines. Same thing with volcanoes and other parts of the earth. So I'm not necessarily knocking this person's footage at all, since it could be something else. But in my opinion, I think this is probably natural phenomenon.
Yeah, again, this one's pretty exciting. We're seeing something up there, this plasmic, like everybody's saying, orb that seems stationary, then just disappears. We see it just blink out of existence. Could this be a flare? Not sure, but again, we're looking at something that we can't explain. New footage coming up. We're looking at, again, plasmic energy in the skies, and we're looking at something cylindrical hovering out there that gives us bright presence. Was a camera looking at something and it gave him a little like heads up, like, hey, I'm here? I wish ET would do that a little bit more. What are we looking at?
You know, in my mind, when I see this, I kind of assume that it's over water, because to me, when I see craft that looks like this, where it's all lit up like that, it kind of seems bioluminescent to me, like it's something that's from like deep under the oceans, like a USO, and the way it lights up like that is really incredible. So I really like this one.
I like this one a lot, especially because of the shape and the fact that it's glowing. We all need to remember this, and I've said this multiple times in the past. When you have something producing a high amount of electricity, such as this, or the S4 sports model, that's in our atmosphere, which is full of gas, hydrogen and oxygen, for instance, what it does is it produces a glow. That's why a lot of times, even during daytime, you'll see craft glowing. And that's what I think is happening right now. We're actually seeing technology at work. This could possibly be an extraterrestrial craft, or conversely, an ARV, an alien reproduction vehicle that we created based on ET technology.
You know, when you say that, I kind of think it doesn't make sense to me that it would be one of our own or our government's craft, because why would they make something that would light up so bright like that if it was some sort of spy craft technology they're working on? So it actually makes more sense to me that it could be extraterrestrial in nature just because of that, because obviously it's not hiding.
Yeah, good point right there, Paula. Definitely, if the government's trying to hide something, their technology, they're not going to try to showcase it with lights and a phenomenon where the people can catch it. I could believe maybe alien civilization coming here, not really thinking about that. So when we see it and we see the phenomenon, they're not trying to hide them. We may be looking at that right now.
Yeah, I've tagged a lot of thumbnails and title text with, they're not hiding anymore, and maybe they're not. They're exposing themselves to us. They're around us at all times, people. Just remember, you got to look up all the time. And what we've been covering right here at Third Phase Moon has been breaking the news over and over again. If you're looking for the latest, it's right here. For example, this new story that people are pushing off as new, we broke it over 3 weeks ago. The New York sighting. Take a look at this. So you may have missed it. We're going to slow it down. We're going to do this once again. If you guys missed it, like we said, 3 weeks ago, we covered this, and people are covering it right now in the major media, News Nation, claiming that this is kind of new stuff. Again, everybody's watching Third Phase of Moon, the major media, politicians, pretty much the entire planet.
Yeah, I see this phenomenon happening all the time. It's kind of fun because when we put out something, the world picks up on it. TikTok, Instagram, it goes rampant. And we kind of like that because that's getting the word out. I would really like if they gave credit where credit was due and who broke the news. But, oh well, News Nation and everybody else and all these other news media, they should just give credit when it breaks. Anyway, I'm glad it gets out because that's how the information gets disseminated, and that's what it needs.
You know, what's incredible to me is how fast this is moving past the airplane window in the other direction. I mean, maybe it's because the airplane's moving so fast in the opposite direction, but I'm just wondering when I see this, if the people from on the ground in the city below can actually look up and see this in the sky, because it is moving by very fast from what I can tell. And it's very small from, you know, down on the ground looking up at this. That would be a very far distance to see such, you know, an object that looks that size.
I remember when we covered this, this was really crazy and still is amazingly good footage. Why? Because it's daytime, it's out of an aircraft, and it's very detailed. The fact that it's going so fast, clearly it's going faster than the sound of speed, or the speed of sound, the sound barrier. But yet, there's no sonic boom. Nobody's hearing it. That's why we're seeing technology at work here. And let me make another point. The fact that this is being covered in the mainstream media 3 weeks after it was covered on Third Phase of Moon should show to the world that Third Phase of Moon is where people need to come to see UFO footage right when it happens. You guys report it the same day or within days of when you receive it, as opposed to media, which is barely taking it from you.
Yep, the major media really doesn't talk to us, but nothing new there. Thanks for joining us, but remember, we're not alone. We'll see you next time.
Here in Washington, it's 3 p.m. We're following a developing story. Could the military patrol the streets?
Well, you don't just have 2, 3, $10 trillion vanish.
We've given so far $171 million.
Most of the work being done on this are private corporations. Call this a hybrid entity that's neither strictly government nor strictly private. If these are extraterrestrials are real and they're getting here from another star system, they're not using 20th century or early 21st century technology. People at the CIA call it WSFM, weird science and frickin' magic.